What is your Tinder horror story? Story 1. Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures, but I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee, like saturated. Then, as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail plugs, she screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could get the f*** out. Story 2. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. She told me instead of saving for that, I should save for a job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, "No, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small teeth and got jobs, and they look amazing. This is all before the waitress even brought our drinks. I just got up and left." Story 3. We were supposed to meet at 9 p.m. He fell asleep and called me at 9:30 when I was already at the carnival. I told him not to bother coming as I didn't want to see him. He asked for another chance and I agreed. Unfortunately, my dad got really ill and had to spend the next 6 weeks in the hospital with me, visiting him daily. I had no time for dates and he got extremely mad. He made a fake Instagram account which he used to follow me and everybody that I followed. He then saw me in a friend's Instagram story and showed up to the restaurant we were at. He called me a whore and a liar, and we had to threaten to call the police because he would not leave. The reason I was at a restaurant was because my sister had flown in from Dublin to visit my dad for a weekend, and she made plans to meet her friends for tapas. I drove her to the restaurant and her friends saw me drop her off and asked me to stay. I did. After a while, I saw him and he yelled. The waiter threatened to call the police, and after the madness I sat back down and we all looked at each other like, what the f***? I wondered how the f*** he knew I was there, and the only way he could have known was because one of my sister's friends put up a story where we were all saying salud with our drinks and she saw that 140+ people saw this story. We ended up finding his profile and realized that he had followed everyone I followed, so that's how. We all reported the account and it got taken down by Instagram. He had my number and kept calling me using different phones. I knew it was him because he'd just be silent and I could hear him breathing. He did this for over 10 months. I was even living in a different country towards the end. I was living in Thailand at the time, and I had a friend, Luis, text me the night before telling me that he missed me and he wanted to catch up, so I told him he could call after I finished work. I was a teacher there. When I came back from school, I saw I had a missed call from a landline and I assumed it was Luis. So I called back. A woman picked up. Her. Hello? Me. Hi, Teeny Gecko here. I have a missed call? Her. It must have been Carlos. He's not home at the moment, but I'll have him call you later. It clicked on me. I only know 2 guys named Carlos. Me. Carlos' surname? Her. Yes. Me. I'm sorry, but could I talk to you for a second? Then I told her everything I remembered. I was so scared she would not believe me and call me a liar, etc. I was shaking, and I've never felt so shit. It was nearly 2 years ago and I forget the exact details, but she kept whispering, Dios mío, as I was telling her. She asked me not to call the police and I told her I would if I ever heard from him again. I never did. Story 4. First date. She wanted me to get into a bar fight with a perfectly friendly guy who bought us a round of shots that night. Why? Because she found out he was a Scorpio. Story 5. Matched with my best friend fiancé after the engagement party. Screenshots of everything and lost my best friend because I don't play that. I was uninvited to the wedding. Marriage lasted 18 months. I did not swipe right. I took a screenshot and asked my friend what she wanted me to do. She asked me to swipe right to see if he was active. I did, and he messaged me asking to hook up. I told him off. He still wanted to hook up. I gave her all the screenshots. He uninvited me from the wedding because he was certain I would embarrass him. He was correct. I wouldn't sleep with my friend's fiancé, nor would I pretend that he wasn't a jerk. That's why the friendship ended. She was from a culture that required marriage before children. She was desperate for a baby and thought he was her last chance. He was running for public office and wanted a smiling wife and cute baby. Yes, they both used each other. Yes, they had a baby. No, he did not get elected. Story 6. Fresh off a breakup on campus, matched with this really good-looking girl who is talking pure filth. Obviously, I'm just an idiot with a hurt heart, so I don't question much. Head over to her place a few days later. She insisted I come over on a certain day at a certain hour. Usually, I would have been sketched out, but it was the middle of the day on a campus. What exactly could go that south? Half an hour in, her husband came home. I was being used in a revenge plot. No more Tinder. Anyway, I pretty much just froze, and he started screaming at her in a language I did not speak, and she got off bed and did the same. It was at an apartment slightly off campus where a lot of students lived, so I guess I just assumed she had a roommate that wasn't home. Never assume. I just basically embraced the chaos, grabbed my as fast as I could, and hightailed it out of there. I can only assume it was intentional based on the specific meetup, but maybe it was poor luck. Either way, just talk to the cute girl at the coffee shop. It's much better than apps. Story 7. My worst Tinder experience was pretty traumatizing for me at the time. I was a sophomore in college and she was a junior or senior at the same school. The first time we ever hung out, I went over to her apartment and we just watched some Netflix and hung out. Nothing crazy. I was thinking, this chick is super cool. We may have something here. So I lived telling her I'd like to see her again if she's down. She told me she would love to and just hit her up whenever and we'll make some plans. We start texting, Snapchatting throughout the week and organize some plans for the following weekend. Out of nowhere, she starts sending me unsolicited nudes. Never once asked for them, and when we were hanging out the weekend prior, there was no sexual activity at any level. We quite literally Netflix and chilled. It caught me off guard, but I was more than cool with it. I'm a young college guy and this hot older chick wants to send me nudes after only hanging out one time? Say less. Fast forward to the weekend, she comes to my apartment and we're hanging out with my roommates watching something on TV. She asks if she can stay the night, and after sending nudes to me all week, I kind of figured what was up. So in my head I'm like, oh, yes. But I tell her of course, and to be polite I offer to sleep on the couch because we've only known each other for about 2 weeks and have only seen each other in person one time prior. She tells me she'd rather me sleep in bed with her, so I know it's on. We get to Netflix and chilling in my room and I make a move. We start to hook up and eventually wind up having sex. I wear a condom and finished inside of it and toast it off to my side of the bed. As we are laying there after a few minutes, she gets up abruptly, comes around to my side of the bed and grabs the condom off the floor and runs into the bathroom. I'm a little confused, maybe a little concerned, but kind of brush it off. As I'm laying there in my bed, I heard a loud crash in my bathroom. She yells, "F***." I ask if she's okay and get no response. I'm a little concerned, thinking this girl just fell in my bathroom and cracked her head open or something. I go to open the door, and she's standing in my shower with one leg propped up trying to shove the condom up her vagina after she flipped it inside out. I freaked out, no clue what to do. She clearly freaked out and probably embarrassed. I have no clue. I shut the door and she immediately comes back out, says she's gonna leave and I say sounds good. I never heard from her again. Let me know your stories in the comments to be part of a future video. Like and subscribe to be notified of new uploads, and click on this video to hear more stories.